Hey there. Welcome to day 2 of your Confident and Bold Challenge. I'm Cher Cunningham from Mindful Entrepreneur, and so happy to host you on this transformation. How did yesterday go? That is step 1. Let's just bring that in right now and have a peek at it. If you haven't done that homework yet, go do it. The video will be here for you in the replay later. Doesn't have to take long. In fact, you may want to spend more time on the homework, but realistically, your unconscious mind already knows all the answers. You can spend a little more time just getting your conscious mind involved with it as well. Clarity on who you really are, what lights you up, what motivates you. It's actually a lot of fun. In my coaching programs, that first day of the intake session, where we start to dive into some of the patterns and strategies and challenges of a client, is one of the most exciting for the client and for me too, because it lays out the entire program. But for the client, they finally get who they are. And there is immense power in that, and also immense value in knowing who you are, right? Knowing what makes you tick. Not because you're going to start matching yourself to that necessarily, but because you're going to start empowering yourself with it. So if you're like most of my ideal clients, going through that exercise was kind of reaffirming in some ways, and it also challenged your thinking as well. Focusing yourself to not write your skills and talents in as strengths. Did you manage to do that? That other section on the strengths list is pretty tiny. We really want you to look at 3 to 5 of your top strengths. And it's so often we think of our skills as one of those strengths. Even confidence is a skill. And I saw in the Facebook group resilience, which is a toolbox of skills. So it's interesting to keep them separate and very important, because you can learn and develop and get better at your skills every day. And if you lock them in as a strength, sometimes you can forget your growth mindset. So you may have noticed yesterday how closely your how, all those strengths that you live empowering you, and your why for your business can and naturally want to mesh together. Strengths power up your why and they inform each other. And it totally makes sense, right? When you look at that, it's a key alignment piece. So if you're having a challenge with making those match, if you're feeling disjointed, just book a coaching call with me. Remember that complimentary strategy session I mentioned early on? Just book it. Because when you're out of alignment, your confidence and your energy get sucked away by that imbalance. So if you're just wondering what the heck is holding you down, that alignment piece is key. It's foundational. And that's why we're starting here. Let's do an interesting exercise. Imagine that you had to not use one of your core strengths for a full month. For me, that might be curiosity. I am curious constantly. I employ it on purpose. To me, it is the most powerfully healing, reframing, and momentum generating tool that I have. And when I pull that into my armor, it is an ability that makes a difference for me. What if I had to do a month without it? Now that makes me curious. Oops, that's not allowed. Who would I be without my curiosity? How would I show up as a coach or a hypnotist if I couldn't be curious? It is one of the genuine key strengths that I have. My daughter laughs at me because every business owner I meet, I can see them. I see their strengths. I see their value. I see their passion and their vision. Sometimes even when they're having a hard time seeing it themselves, of course. So pick one of your top strengths right now. Just look at that list of 3 to 5 that you generated and pick one. Imagine not using it. It's not allowed for a full month. Not in your business, not with your clients, not in your networking meetings, not with how you run your household. not with how you build your relationships with your partner or your family. Just taking that right out of your day. Notice how your day is different, how your activities and your relationships and your work would suffer without that. Many people say this exercise makes them feel anxious, like they're suffocating, or like they're missing an arm, or like part of their brain just has shut down. As you imagine that part being taken away, there is that sense of loss, of confusion, as you look at self without that. If you did get that disjointed experience, then you have definitely found a strength that is a powerful one, that is a core resonance for you. I'm not going to leave you there. Reinstall that strength and appreciate it and allow it to power all the way back up again, fully reintegrated into your heart, mind, soul, and body. I've honed my curiosity to be a massively powerful tool in my life because I recognize that it brings me into flexibility, into poise. If somebody has a complaint and I say, tell me more about that. Tell me how you're experiencing that. And in fact, I've realized that if a client has a complaint, we can dig deep into that and find the limiting belief that is holding them back and see how they have patterned that through their entire life. Curiosity opens that flexibility and that possibility up for me. So I whip that tool out, that strength out, when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm suffering any imposter thoughts, when I'm doing something a little bit bigger, a little bit of a stretch, even when I'm bored or if I am stuck, I just use it to blast away the stuck. Now, what about the strengths that you wished you could circle where you're like, oh yeah, I want to say this is me? You don't really have them in your top 3 or 5 or 10, but you see them as incredibly valuable. Don't worry. They have a place in your life too. We all have all strengths. That may be a weaker strength for you, but it still exists in you. In fact, some of what we think of as weaknesses are actually strengths, just dialed up too high. For my introvert friends and clients out there, you go through this a lot. Don't pump yourself up to the level of anxiety, right? We don't need to be dialed up to know we're alive. Dial it back down again. Think of everything on a continuum. Independence dialed up too high prevents the abundance that you will feel from interdependence. Empathy dialed up too high can end up so that you ignore other data or it swamps you in emotion. Excitement dialed up too high can absolutely result in anxiety. Just think about that for a moment and see if that vibes for you, that, yeah, they thought that was a weakness. But what if I dial it down, right? Think about these things as gauges or as two sides of a coin. And because that's true, there are ways we can activate even our lowest strengths, right? We can dial them up if need be. Sometimes we can just delegate or build a team that has those strengths with us. When we are creating a team that we want to empower and engage, we want to be looking for strengths that we don't have ourselves so that they can recognize how their strengths contribute to the success of our business, of our project. That's what makes engagement. Now, after a year of uncertainty and added chronic stress, you may find that some of your natural strengths don't seem to be as active as they were back in 2019. We're going to look at those again on day 5 and include some strengths that day that you want to improve, as well as a few that are just necessary to a life of joy and impact. So certain strengths equate to a happy, fulfilled life. Zest, a growth mindset, compassion, and gratitude. If those are already your core strengths, awesome. Your day is filled with so many moments of joy, so much energy and excitement. And if not, we're going to power those up. It's something to keep in mind. So again, it's zest, growth mindset, compassion, and gratitude. And we're going to integrate those into that magic ritual we're building on day 5. Today is about stopping thinking that you are broken and noticing that you are powerful. It's not about creating power, it's about getting the nonsense out of the way, taking your focus off of weakness, off of broken, and bringing it back where it belongs, which is on strengths. The universe is conspiring to make your life beautiful. Your awareness of that will help you see all of the resources that you have been missing. Now, this is not an all or nothing. You might be saying, well, I know that my life is amazing. I know this is happening. This is a way to leverage that, make it even more intentional so that we can exponentially grow it. So much of what surrounds us draws our attention to the negative, doesn't it? Negativity makes you buy things. It grabs your attention and makes itself salient, even if it isn't relevant, because our primitive brain wants to keep us alive, remember? So a little quick lesson. This is normally done for kids, but you'll find that it's a valuable way to think of the brain. If you look at my hand as the brain and the brain stem, down here where the spine starts, the base of your skull, is that reptilian brain. This is the part, our primitive brain, that wants to keep us alive. When we've had too much stress, too much anxiety, we live here a lot of the time. And if you've spent a lot of time there, it's a terrible place to be. When that year I burnt out, I could not remember things. I was so stressed. I thought I had early onset Alzheimer's. All I had was reptile brain. So other parts of the brain, all reptiles have this, all animals and all the way down. Now, when we look at mammals, they have this limbic portion of the brain where your emotions and your memories and all that gooey, wonderful stuff of experience and feeling alive happen. Inside of here is your amygdala. That's the part of you that fires you into your reptilian brain. Now, as we fold this down, we see our cortex, and our cortex is where logic happens, and we're able to put things in order and spatial awareness and all those great things. And right at the front in our frontal lobes, we have the part of us that we think is who we are. It's where our problem solving, our trust, our creativity, our humor, all of those wonderful things exist. And when something happens that gets us anxious, we flip our lid and we get back down here in reptilian brain. Your strengths, bringing those strengths to mind, will help you fold this down, will help you know that you have coping skills, that you have tools, and you come back to your whole self again. Now, the other fun thing is that this part of your brain uses a ton of energy, and so your brain also wants to conserve energy. So wherever possible, it turns this off. If you repeat a behavior a few times, it says, oh, this can be habituated. Let's turn this into an unconscious automaton behavior that just runs. If it's a good behavior we're putting in, awesome. If it's stopping on the way home from work for fries every day, not so awesome. Wouldn't it be nice to throw a salad in there? But because 95% of what we do each day is automatic and unconscious, then it's not something we're even aware of. So today, as we shake this up, we're building some awareness. We want to make using your strongest strength part of that 95% so that it is unconscious and automatic for you. To do that, you need awareness. Awareness helps you break out of habituated thinking patterns and behaviors and out of personality. Personality is a funny thing. You know, some of our hardest problems to solve are the ones that we think are our personality. It's just the way I am. No, it's not. If it is not you being brilliant and bold and brave and powerful, that's just not true. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be loud and big and extroverted. An introvert is a powerful person. Some of the best public speakers, actors, and salespeople are introverts. They're just more quietly that way. And when they need to recover, they need to be alone. You've heard that the unexamined life is not worth living. This is one of the places where we're just getting into examining so that we're bringing things to awareness. We're not just assuming everything's the same as it always was. In my hypnosis practice, step 1 is for the client to convince me that they have a problem. You might laugh, but legit, many times we are dredging up an old problem that they have just habituated into thinking still exists and acting as though it does. As soon as we drag it out of the pit and we bring it out into the light and shine that light on it, all the shadows disappear, we get looking at it, and the problem reframes itself instantly and disappears. It's one of the reasons I give those free coaching sessions, is because if it's going to take one session and you can transform, let's do that. We give you power over it and we drive the shadows away. I had a lovely, talented client who had been unvalued as a young woman. She wasn't respected, didn't have authority in her life, and felt unheard. Years later, we met, and she was still struggling with it. As we designed for her what value looks like, so we could actually get some criteria and be specific with it, what it sounds like, what it feels like, we began to bring her into the present and into agency in her life. And we identified how she would know she had value and how others behave when they value you. Then, of course, I tasked her to go and observe her life like a scientist and see what she found. She came back the next week just bubbling with happiness and humor. She was surrounded by people who counted on her skills and her experience, who respected her and listened carefully to her opinion. Even at home, she discovered that all the evidence was there that she was valued. She just hadn't had it brought into her awareness. She was running programs that had filtered it out in the past. And her focus was on all the wrong things. It conflated those negative things. Where focus goes, energy flows. In order to activate and fuel the programs that help you notice that you're confident and bold and powerful, you can become that deliberate, and you should become that deliberate. We're always creating our own reality anyway. Why not create one that we love, that lets us shine? You're already always being programmed. Let's jump into that programming and be intentional. Today is all about building awareness that you're already strong, that you're already using your strengths, and to become aware of your strengths in time when you might feel weak or bored, irritated, or unmotivated. So today for homework, there are exercises to ratify and to weave your strengths into your behaviors that you're already doing. This isn't about change. This is about awareness today. In fact, if you look at your plan for the rest of the day right now, what are you doing after I'm done sharing this with you? Let's say you're going to go to your email and grab the homework and dive in. It should have arrived a few minutes ago. What strength could you use to do the homework? Now, don't look for a strength that you think I should use, like determination and focus and all those things, or lifelong learning. Look at your top 3 and maybe pick one that doesn't seem like it is a natural fit, something maybe a little quirkier. What about generosity? If that was one of your top strengths, how could you use that? Be generous while doing the homework. What about humor? That would be a fun one, wouldn't it? Play. Or connection. Or adaptability. Activating those strengths in the midst of your existing activities, even if, or especially if, you don't see the connection, will help do some pattern interrupting, bring them more to awareness. So go grab that homework now. It should be in your inbox. If it's not, then you will find it in the link here in the Facebook page or in the archives of the emails. So many places to get it. And if you still can't find it, just reach out. If you're sitting watching this on YouTube, just reach out and let me know that you're having a challenge finding it. That is your homework for the day. Pull those 2 pieces together and we'll move to the next level tomorrow. Thanks so much for showing up. Congratulations. And if you have any feedback, don't forget to post in the Facebook page why and how those strengths are powerful for you. See you tomorrow.